So talk to me about some of the mistakes that horse professionals make in their marketing.
Okay, so good. The number one that I start with is trying to speak to everyone. Actually, can I couple that with like a 1A and 1B?
You can have 3 if you need it.
Because
there's no tape recording, so you can go.
I kind of hold these equal. From a practical perspective, so we're going to break them down. I'll say the 2 and we'll break them down. From a practical perspective, it is trying to speak to everyone. That muddies the water. The internal perspective that impacts the practical is chasing other people's definition of success. So, and both of them muddy the water. So we'll go practical first, the easier part, right? Because as you take a side, because you've done it. We've all done it. The practical side of things, when people are creating content, we have that fear, just like you talked about earlier about repelling the wrong people. We have a fear that we're going to repel the person that would have said yes. So again, this morning I'm on a client call and she helps specifically kids. So we're talking about how she can get scrappy and get leads that are qualified for this particular service. But then she goes, but the other day I worked with somebody and she's in her 50s and this worked for her too. And so I think I need to go after that side too. And so she's afraid to narrow down her marketing because she might repel those other people. It depends on your phase and season of business. There's nothing wrong with expanding. But when growth is your real focus, if you're trying to speak to everyone, then you're not making it clear who you are truly speaking to. And just like you said earlier, this is one of the hardest parts for us as business owners because you think that you're going to miss out, right? It becomes that like fear of missing out. And you think that it comes back to fear, right? Like there's not enough fish in the sea, so I need to get all of these people. But the reality is when you do the numbers, okay, if you look at the data, then you actually don't need 1,000. Right? Depending on who the horse business professional is that we're talking to. But unless you have a membership that you're really trying to scale, you're not looking for 1,000. You may be looking for 10 of your perfect clients. So then how can we attract 100? Well, if we narrow down, I bet you can figure out 100 people that fall into that bucket that we need to narrow it down to, but we're afraid because we think we need 1,000. So there's that piece that I would say first is we're muddying the water, trying to speak to everyone. And when I tell people, and I say this on the podcast regularly, I believe you that your method, your product, your services, the way you do body work, it could help every horse on the planet. I believe you. However, not every horse owner that owns every horse on the planet is going to pay for your services. So you need to find the right people for what you are doing. And that's who you're going to love working with the most. And that's who you're really going to make the biggest impact with.
And I think, what do you think about this? I think when I started the business, I wanted to help everybody, but I also didn't realize like who I'm working with affects the rest of my day, like the rest of my life. Yeah. And you talked about, your offer, and it's not always, a breed or a discipline, but it could be the person that you work with. And I think for me, my biggest mistake was thinking that wasn't a characteristic of a client I needed to worry about. Fast forward to the day I sold that business, I could tell you when I got on the call in 5 minutes whether I ever wanted to have a beer with this person. And if I didn't, then they weren't the ideal client.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I always tell people like there's grace and space for learning and growing. I mean, I told you in the beginning, right? Mine was small businesses. How many millions of small businesses are there in the United States? So you do have to start somewhere. Just don't be afraid to keep doing the work, to keep narrowing down. And also know that that is work that you're going to continue to do throughout your time as a business owner, because you're going to evolve. You're going to create new products or services, or you're going to expand. And so you're going to have to continue to do that work to figure out exactly who your audience is so that you create messaging that speaks to them.